All right, we are live. Just gonna let this page refresh here. All right, here we go. All right, Mike, what's happening? How we doing?
I'm doing great. We just launched our first beach property today, so got 2 bookings in the first hour. Granted, they're summer bookings, so people. It's actually next week. There's 2 bookings, so one this weekend and one the middle of next week. So that's a co-host deal for us. It's about 45 minutes from our house, so I'm pumped.
Nice.
And I get to use it when I want to. So
even better, even better. Sweet. Well, we got another episode of Tuesdays with Mike and Mike. What are we going to be talking about today?
We're talking about security. So both you and I manage properties that are out of state. I know you're in Florida, you were in Texas for a little while, all over the Northeast. I'm in North Carolina, but I'm 6 hours away from most of my properties. So a big fear that we hear from people trying to get into this business is how do I know who's going into my property? How do I know that they're being good neighbors? How do I know that they're not throwing a party at my property? So let's dive into that. Mike, I know you create a lot of the systems that we all use. So what's just your brief overview on security for your properties, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, so it all starts with the booking process, but if we go past that, I'll come back to that. If I want to think about it this way, if I can't see it, I want to be able to, how do I get eyes and ears on a property that is not near me? Or even if it is near me, how do I keep eyes and ears on that property, right? So there's 2 really basic components of that. For my eyes, I like to use the Ring security cameras, right? So I put Ring security cameras on the outside of all of our properties so I can see who's going in and out. And then for my ears, I use noise aware. Actually, I have one of the sensors right here on my desk. I've got a great relationship with those guys. Remind me at the end, I'll put a link in the comments here. I think we get 20 or 25% off if people use that link. But what noise aware is it monitors noise levels, right? It doesn't record anything. It doesn't listen to conversations. It just measures decibels for any of you musicians, which is basically how loud the noise is in a property. And you can customize it however you want. So like for me, my quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And so during those hours, if there's sustained noise for, I think, 5 minutes over this threshold, I get a text message. Now my team gets a text message right away. And so then the question becomes, okay, if that happens, what do I do, right? That's the next logical step. Okay, cool. Now I know something's going on. They're making a bunch of noise. Now what do I do, right? And so what I have found works best for me is we have a standard template that we send out to guests and just say, hey, thanks again so much for booking with us. Really appreciate you staying here. Hope you're having a great time. I don't want to be the bad guy or the bearer of bad news, but I just got a noise complaint from one of my neighbors. It's a real tight-knit community. We've got great neighbors, and our quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I got to ask you to tone it down, or I'm going to have to send a member of my team to escort you guys off the property. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the bad guy. But again, we've got great neighbors, and I just got a noise complaint. So can you please tone it down? And when I send the message that way, instead of being like bad cop, like, hey, you guys are making too much noise, I caught you on my noise monitoring system, they're going to be like, screw this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but when you come from it from an empathetic standpoint, most people traveling, a lot of them, they're on vacation or they're kind of in vacation mode, don't even realize that they're making a bunch of noise. And they understand that they're staying in somebody's house. It's in a neighborhood most of the time. Like, they get it. So when we send that message, then I can just watch the noise levels just go poof, and just drop right on my little dashboard, right? And then if for whatever reason, if they don't, okay, who on my team, I leverage my handyman that can go and knock on the door and be like, guys, you got to cut it out or you're literally going to have to get kicked out of here. And I don't want to do that, right? So I have yet to have to kick anybody out of a property, right? So if you just send the message that way, you're good. So bottom line is, some of you may have heard of like horror stories of like somebody shows up the next day or they get a call from the cops that there's some crazy party going on at their house. you're never going to be in that situation because you're going to know immediately if there's too many people going in there, and if they're making a bunch of noise, you're going to know within 5 minutes. And then you can get in touch with who's ever there. And if you have to, you can send a member of your team there to give them the boot. But like, you should never get to the point where you're actually getting a phone call from the cops, because you would know way in advance of any of that. And then again, going back to the booking process, you want to understand who's staying at your property and what's bringing them to the area, and how many guests are they going to have in your property. Are they planning to have anybody else visit during the stay? Like, you need to give that the green light before they just invite anybody else over, right? And just setting up some of those parameters up front so that you always maintain control over who's going in and out of the property. And if you ever needed to, you could always revoke access using the locks that we talked about last week, to just literally, their code won't work anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody else is getting in and out when the code doesn't work, right? So
yeah, that's very true. So I like your point of having that pre-booking message, and for people to know, like, we know who's going to be in the property, right? So if they're throwing a party, let's say that the booking has 10 people, and all of a sudden there's 15 or 20 people in the property. We're going to know, one, through the noise aware, but two, through the Ring cameras. That's something that we do, is we check whenever there's motion, the first motion that we see, and typically we turn on those notifications for Ring. We count how many people are going inside the property, and we can ask them and say, like, hey, I have 8 people on the booking. I just want to make sure that there's only 8. If there's more, let us know. It could be okay. Or if you have visitors, let us know. But one thing to note is, if something does happen on your property during the booking time, and it happens and there's like 15 people there and your booking only says 8, well, Airbnb only protects the 8 people that are there. It doesn't protect anybody more. So you want to know, you can do that through NoiseWare, but also through the Ring doorbells of who's there. And also, having a Ring doorbell just really helps with access too. Like, I'd say 80% of the Ring doorbell rings that I get from guests are just, kids ringing the doorbell, hey, let us in. But the other 20% is people having challenges getting in. Either the lock not working properly, and they can just ring the doorbell and I'll pick up right here, and then I'll open the door from my phone, and I'll just tell them, hey, sorry, let's monitor it going forward, or keep it open, or something like that. So there's multiple benefits to having a Ring doorbell, and also, having a noise aware is just a no-brainer. Do you use noise awares for indoors only, or do you have it outdoors at some of your properties as well? I know there's another monitor that they have for outdoors specifically.
I have used it in our Florida property, the beach house, up on the 3rd floor deck. The only challenge with the one that I got, they're battery powered. So like, you got to change the batteries pretty frequently. So you can use them for sure. But like, if you have a space that a lot of people, like, not a ton of people are going up on that deck making a lot of noise. But if I had, a nice backyard in like a suburban neighborhood, I would definitely put exterior ones out there, just so you get ahead of any noise complaints from the neighbors, or the neighbors calling the cops because people are being too loud outside. So, they're easy to install. It's literally, you can use zip ties or whatever you got to do to get it set up outside. But yeah, like, again, if you have like some type of backyard and there's neighbors, like, and it's set up for like grilling or a pool or whatever, like, I would probably have them outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have the spotlight cameras outside too, or just the doorbells?
I did in the Dallas properties. I had some spotlight cameras outside.
Yeah.
With pools and hot tubs, people get weirded out. Like, people used to complain about the main entrance to this house. It was kind of weird. One of our North Carolina properties, the main entrance, we would have them use the back door just because it made more sense where the driveway was. But the back door was like facing the hot tub, and people would be like, "Are you watching us in the hot tub?" I'm like, "No, I'm not watching you in the hot tub. I don't care what you do. Like, I'm not watching anything, but I need to know who's going in and out of the property," right? So I did get that complaint. So if there's any way to avoid that, or if you could angle it a certain way so it's not, you don't want to face it into the property, and you don't want to face it towards like a hot tub or a pool or anything else like that. But at the same time, like, you want to keep eyes on your property. You want to know who's going in your property.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple other little hacks that I use. One of my properties has a well and a holding tank, and I use a Ring spotlight camera to monitor the level of that well holding tank. So I know if the well's running a little low or they're using a bunch of water, I can actually proactively call my well guys to get out there.
Wait, say that one more time. You're using a camera for that?
I'm using a camera on the inside. So I've got a camera in my basement where the holding tank is for the well. So the well pumps water up into this holding tank, and then the holding tank pumps water up to the house. So I've got a camera on that holding tank to make sure it doesn't fluctuate too much in water levels. Because I'll know
water level through the tank.
Yeah, I can see the water level through the tank. So there's other little things that you can monitor as well. Some people have Ring cameras in a garage, but we don't really recommend having Ring cameras inside the property anywhere. It doesn't, like, I wouldn't want that if I was staying at Airbnb.
Yeah. Tristan said in the comments, I use the exterior sensor in the backyard in Scottsdale because of the pool, barbecue, and outdoor seating area. It's crucial. Yeah, and I mean, Tristan's got some luxury properties going with some nice yards and pools and all that. So you need to keep eyes on all that stuff. So I totally get that.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Has your noise awares gone off, and how did you handle it? Like, did you ever have like a major issue with them?
I haven't yet. Knock on wood. I haven't had any major issues. It's gone off once, and I actually got a text. So we have a 4-unit, and 2 of the units are short-term rentals. And I got a text I got the notification from NoiseAware, and I got a text from the tenant that was above them saying, hey, it's a little loud. And it was basically just the TV going too loud and the guy on the phone. So that was really the only time it went off. And I just texted him and said, hey, can you keep it down a little bit? It's an old house, walls are a little thin. And we didn't have any problems after that. So.
Yeah, makes total sense. It's funny, man, like I've been preaching this for a while, and I had an incident maybe 3 weeks ago at one of our hotels where we have like a club room, like lounge. And I had noise awares in all the rooms, but I didn't have it in the club room. And I got a bunch of messages from guests and some phone calls at like 11 o'clock at night, like, hey, there's a bunch of people down in the club room making a ton of noise. And I didn't have a noise aware down there to like verify it. But also I didn't have like a camera inside the club room, which I should have. So now that's one of the things that we implemented, but I put a noise aware in there. But I sent the message just like I was just describing, like, hey, listen, quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Clubhouse should actually be closed now. So I'm not even sure how you got in, but you got to go back to your room, or a member of our team is going to have to come over there and escort you off the property. And then I could see on my exterior Ring cameras on my spotlight cam, them leaving the club room and heading out. So like I knew I was good.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So true. And I know a lot of people, Rings are expensive. So I know a lot of people are a little hesitant to purchase them. But they're so easy to use. They're so easy to install. I've installed I've installed 7 in the last 2 weeks, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. Like it's so easy to connect.
And it has an online dashboard. So when you scale your team, I don't check the cameras. My team does that now. And they can log in from the Philippines or wherever, and they monitor the cameras for me. So as you're looking at scaling, you want to think about.
See if I can show that to the crew.
Exactly. So then you have all of your properties just lined up nice and easy, and you can log in on the desktop version and see the same thing. But when you're looking to scale, one thing you don't want to do is, all right, I'm going to put Ring on this one, and then I'm going to use Blink on this one, and then I'm going to use Eero on this one, because as you scale, then your team or you have to log into each of these apps. You want to streamline your systems as much as possible, right? And I just took on another property, 2 properties a couple of weeks ago or last month, and the owner already had Blink cameras. I'm like, sorry, like we got to change them, because I'm not breaking my system and making my team log into multiple different cameras. Like that's just going to be a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So think about that. And the equipment might cost a couple $100 or 150, whatever it is for a Ring now, but then it's only $30 for a year. Or if you have some bigger properties or hotels like we do, it's only $100 a year for unlimited cameras at that location. So like, you know, it definitely works out, and they've just worked really well for us. So like, if it works, like you tend to get what you pay for. You know what I mean? So I'd rather err on the side of caution, spend a little bit more on the cameras, spend some money on the noise awares, make sure everything's working well, and just have that peace of mind that I'm not going to have to worry about it and just be done with it.
Yep. See if we got any. I don't think we have any more questions.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes, and then we got to jump to our mastermind call. So
it's definitely a hot topic.
One other thing, Mike, that we should probably cover in the future is just doing a whole video on investing out of state and running out of state properties. Like we covered one little aspect of it here, but I think, you know, a lot of people that apply to the mastermind, they do want to invest out of state, but there's this big fear around doing it. Like I can't go and touch it. Like there's this fear around it, and we've all had it. I had it, you had it. But it's kind of an irrational fear, because if you have the right systems, whether it's next door or in the next country, like the systems should work the same and the team should work the same. So it's more of just a comfort zone thing, which we talked about on Mindset Monday, of getting out of your comfort zone and being like, does this deal make sense? Do I like this property? Is it going to be profitable? Okay, great. Whether it's in California or whether it's in Texas or whether it's in Florida, it doesn't really matter. As long as I have my systems tight, like it makes sense.
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe I don't think we have anything for next week. So, or no, we do. Next week is why your cleaners are the lifeblood of your business. Short-term rental business.
100%.
And how to treat them, how to communicate with them, and compensate them, and really diving into why they are the lifeblood of the business. So I'm excited about that one because we've got some really good ones. We've had issues. I know you've had issues. Everybody has issues. But if we treat them well, treat them with respect, communicate well, and are good clients to them, and also we can talk about maybe some ways that we've helped them level up their game too. Because I know we've both done that with our respective cleaning teams. So.
Yeah, no question. Jeff said, that's me worried I would need a property manager for out of state, but learning that is not necessary. Jeff, you know better than that by now. So that excuse is gone, sir. That is all gone. So, all right, guys, as always.
One last thing, even if you do have that property manager, it's not like most of them, you can't pick up the phone and call them and they're going to go do whatever you need to do right away. Like they've got 50 other properties if you're with Evolve or Vacasa or whatever. They're basically taking 15% just for, you know, I don't know, listing your property essentially. So
Tristan said, I have a property where the driveway leads to around the house to the back door. Should I put a Wi-Fi lock on the back and the front door? I'm leaning towards yes, because guests may leave the door unlocked. I had guests a week or two ago leave the doors wide open and the garage open. I mean, I typically don't, Tristan, but if you have more comfort around that, and I know you've got some luxury properties, then yeah, you can do that if you want to. Totally up to you. I mean, I typically don't. I tell them that you use this entrance and that's basically it. But if you're going to feel more comfortable, like doing it for each door, then that's fine. I would probably only give them access to a code for one of them. So if you want to monitor it when they're out of the property just to see if it's locked or unlocked, you can totally do that too.
Yeah. The other thing, and I'm sure you do this, Tristan, but communicate with them like, hey, make sure all the doors are locked before you leave, the garage is closed. Put that in your checkout instructions if it's not in there already, to make sure everything's tight and locked up.
100%. 100%. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Mike, thank you for running point, sir. This is fun.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody next week. Oh, and a little teaser for next week. I know JM's updating the link now, but next Wednesday, we're hosting a full-blown webinar on how to launch, automate, and scale a short-term rental business, even if you don't live in a big city or a vacation town. So we do these about once a quarter. I don't do it a ton because we do a lot of these little snippets, but this is like a full-on deep dive training. So stay tuned for that. We'll post some more announcements once the link is good to register. we'll drop a link into the group here, into the Facebook group, and you guys can register. It's totally free. I'll be on there. Mike will be on there. Got a whole game plan planned out, and then we'll save some time at the end for questions. And we'll just have some fun. Again, we do it about once a quarter. So if you miss it, you're kind of screwed until probably Thanksgiving. So hop on there, block out the time. It's going to be, what is it, Mike, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, the 11th at 2:00 Eastern. It's going to be about an hour. You can ask questions at the end. Definitely bring your notebook because there's, I mean, it's pretty much A to Z, how to, find, launch, scale your short-term rental business. So it's going to be fun.
100%. Awesome, buddy. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody else, for showing up. And if you guys have questions or comments, or if you're catching the replay, post them down below, tag Mike and myself, and we'll see you guys all next week. Take care, everybody.